All right, we are 1/5 of the way through the MLB season and back after a month to help me break it all down. It's my guy, Tucker Hickman. Tucker, it's great to see you. It's great to have you back on. You're the only person I trust to help me in these trying baseball times, decipher everything that's going on. Like I said, 1/5 of the way through the season. Can you believe that?
It definitely feels like it's gone by a lot quicker this year in previous years. Maybe that's because I'm not watching as many games this year, just because my Baltimore Orioles literally just, it's not good for the mental health to watch them right now.
What do I always tell you when they're down 10 in the first? Protect your peace. Turn the channel.
Yeah, it's good. I can be in bed. Typically, their games have been starting at 6:35, so I can wrap things up, start winding down around 7:30, put on some Mad Men or something to watch, and go about my day.
It has been nice just getting the early curtain call, be like, all right, third inning, we're down by 12. Good night. It's
Oh,
kind of
Charlie
fun.
Morton's given up 10 runs by the third. Let's call it a night.
The Kyle Gibson Charlie Morton combo has been deadly though. I like that as a 1-2 punch. Um, it's been fun to watch, but there's so many storylines, there's so many teams, there's so many players I wanted to get your take on. So we have a great mix of all that. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start with an unconventional one, and I'm going to start with one of my favorite pitchers. This is a take that always gets like crushed online. Is I'm a Patrick Corbin guy. I don't care. You see the Nats jersey behind me. I'm a Nats guy. Patty Corbin for the Texas Rangers this year has been a revelation, dare I say, for that 1.1 mil that they signed him for, like deep into spring training. Dude didn't even get a spring training. 3.79 ERA through 4 starts. Did you ever think you would see the day where you'd see Patrick Corbin as the reliable number 5 starter that he is?
Uh, no, not when you consistently have like a 6 ERA every year, but he's a lefty. If you're a decent lefty, you're always going to have a spot on a MLB team.
Not just a decent
So
lefty, a lefty who gives like 170 plus innings every year since like 2017, I think is the stat. Like nobody else does that. But
well, if
I
you're paying a guy like 30 million a year, you better make sure you're at least getting some innings out of him.
right, the 6 year deal he signed with the Nats. Obviously, year one worked great. The other five, not so much. But although one could argue he did work out because even though he was so bad for years 2 through 6, like he still gave you 6 innings every single night on a team that never had a bullpen. So that's something.
Yeah, it's like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm sure the
Yeah.
Nats love that, but on Corby's hot start, I think we were talking a little bit about this before we started too. It's indicative kind of the Rangers pitching staff in general right now. It kind of feels like going into the year, the only sure guy they had was Eovaldi, and everybody else was kind of a question mark. But right now, that entire rotation is overperforming, if you want to call it that. So, I mean, I think the Rangers have to love where their entire rotation's at right now.
Yeah. Like you look, yeah, Eovaldi, DeGrom, sub 3, Tyler Malley, 1.14 ERA, like Corbin, 3.7, Jack Leiter, 2. Like whatever they're doing down there in Texas from a pitching and pitching development standpoint is obviously working. And I did a deep dive. Like I'm gonna probably regret spending a half an hour doing a deep dive on Patrick Corbin stats, but here's some of the nuggets that I found I think that are interesting for everybody. So his strikeout and walk rate this year and last year, they're basically identical, but he's given up way less hard contact. Like barrel rate, hard hit rate, all that stuff is way down this year. So I think that is helping him. But also, like, just if you do like a zoom out perspective, the defense playing behind him in Texas is so much better than it was in DC for the last couple of years. So last year in DC, they had the 5th worst team defense in terms of DRS. And for a sinker slider guy, that's a ground ball pitcher. Yikes. This year, Texas has the 6th best team defense in terms of defensive run saves. So I think that's helping him out a lot. Also, his catcher in DC was K. Barrett Ruiz. And if you've ever looked at like his baseball savant, he's just like the worst framing catcher in baseball. There was one year in 2023 he had negative 13 framing runs, catching framing runs. That was like the 3rd worst. But he's got Jonah Heim, who's like consistently been in the upper echelon of framing and defensive catchers working with him. So I love this. I think Patrick Corbin's only going to get better as the year goes on, as him and Heim figure out that chemistry again, because he didn't have a spring training with him. So I'm buying number 5 starter. Like he could finish the year with the sub 4, and I wouldn't even be surprised at this point.
It's like you said, I think it's kind of like a perfect combination of events, a lot better defense, a lot better catcher, and then whatever the Rangers are doing in their pitching lab, it's working for Corbin.
100%. So, and he got bit by a spider, and he became Spider-Man. So that was a fun story.
No, Jesus.
He's Peter Parker out there on the mound. So keep an eye on Patrick Corbin down in Texas. All right, so back, I want to say it's got to be over a month ago. It was in the month of March. I do know that. We did breakout players who would carry their hot springs into the regular season. I had 3, you had 2. I had Griffin Canning, Jacob Wilson, and Sean Newcomb. You had Curtis Mead and Spencer Schwallenbach. Have you been keeping tabs on your 2 guys? How are they doing?
I will check the box scores of some Rays games. I'm never going to watch a Rays game, but I will check the box scores. Mead, yeah, he's exactly what I thought he would be. He'll single you to death, only the singles are not coming in as many bunches as I would have liked. I'd be a lot more content with him if that average was a little higher. And then the Braves this year, my God. I really thought the offense last year was like just a fluke. I thought they were all going to bounce back to their normal selves this year, but they're equally as bad. The pitching staff is not looking great. Sale finally had a good start the other day, but it was against the Rockies. So does it really count? And then Schwellenbach, I have not even been keeping tabs on him.
He's 1-2 with a 2.87 ERA, so he's not bad.
It's exactly what I said. Breakout candidate. He's the bright spot on the Atlanta Braves until Acuna returns.
Yeah, he's the only member of the Braves rotation with a sub 4. Also the only one with a sub 3. So, yeah, Sale almost a 5 spot in the ERA column so far. Not great.
He'll come down though.
Yeah.
Here's how bad the Braves are. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 run or 2 runs, struck out 10, lost the game.
That's like DeGrom with the Mets, where he had like 9 wins and like a sub 2, and you're like, that doesn't add
Yeah,
up.
dude had like a 1.86 ERA. Was like 9 and 10. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
What the fuck?
What are we doing here?
I'm gonna give you 1 out of 2 for that. For my 3 guys, and this isn't fair because it's apples to oranges, but I had 3 guys. I hit 2 out of 3 of them so far. So Griffin Canning, revelation in the Mets rotation. He's 4-1 with a 2.6 ERA. Jacob Wilson is 6th in baseball in batting average, batting 331. I missed on Sean Newcomb. I don't know why I picked that one. He's 0-3 with a 4.2 ERA, and they moved him to the bullpen. So
I
can't be
definitely
perfect.
think of all of our picks, I think Jacob Wilson has been the most impressive so far, just because he's doing like freak stuff. Like the dude has struck out like what, maybe 4 or 5 times. He does not swing and miss. He's got like the lowest swing and miss rate in baseball.
He doesn't walk either.
And I went back and I was watching a video. The only times he struck out this year was on like some of the filthiest sliders you have ever seen.
In
So
114
like,
at bats, he has 2 walks and 6 strikeouts.
yeah, that's great. In the day and age where people strike out 200 plus times, like, I mean, he's on pace to what? Strike out 30 times all year? That's insane. It's like Tony Gwynn numbers right there.
One of my favorite. So they had him on MLB Tonight. I guess it was last week. And my favorite quote was Dan Plesac was like, "Hey, Jacob, it's Dan. I have a medical question. Are you allergic to walks?"
No, my, yeah. Yeah, it was funny. At one point, like 2 weeks ago, his batting average was like 355, and his on base was also 355.
Yeah, but you don't want to like teach kids. You want to you want to walk a little bit. You want to see some pitches, But I guess you're putting everything in play and hitting 300. So why not?
His batting stance just makes me nervous. Makes me nervous watching him. Do you think Billy Bean would have, locked him up to a long-term deal back in the day? Like, it's all about getting on base, but this dude doesn't walk. He's not seeing pitches. It goes
Good
against
point.
Moneyball. It goes against goddamn Moneyball.
Well, another reason it would have went against Moneyball is that Jacob Wilson was drafted out of Grand Canyon University, and back in the day, Billy Bean No, actually, no, this would have worked because he was only drafting college hitters. Never mind. He passed on Joey Votto because Joey Votto was a high school guy. Got that mixed up.
Is it because he was a high school bust himself?
Mm. I think he just wanted guys who were more experienced who could like go through the minors faster. Um,
He wants them developed boys.
the Nick Swishers of the world, yeah. So I'm pretty good at predicting stuff. Just throwing that out there. Um, New York Mets, second best record in baseball, 21-11, red hot. They have the best team ERA in baseball, 2.68, the best starter ERA in baseball. They're led by Kodai Senga, Tyler McGill, both sub two guys. Offense, Pete Alonso's third in baseball in WAR, has 7 home runs. When you look at this Mets team, it looks pretty well balanced top to bottom. Do you think this is a team that can go deep into October?
100%. Anytime you sign Soto to a goddamn near $1 billion contract, you would hope. And I think that's like another kind of good sign for the Mets is Soto is not even producing yet. Wait till he gets locked in. Because really, they got 3 good hitters in that lineup. Soto, Vientos, and Alvarez. I know Alvarez was kind of injured, hasn't played many games, but all guys who haven't really hit like I foresee them hitting yet. So once those dudes all get hot, if that pitching can, keep doing what they're doing, they might finish with the best record in baseball.
That's exactly where my brain went to because I was like, well, Juan Soto, he was batting like I think he still is batting. He's batting 241. He just recently had a 2 homer game, so now he has 3 on the year. Frank the Tank, if you follow him on, I basically only get my Mets updates through Frank the Tank. And according to him, he's Juan Soso, and the Mets are never going to win another game. Um, I like the way that they pitch the baseball because last year proved to the world that like you don't need like a Jacob DeGrom, Zach Wheeler, top of the rotation horse to be good because they can kind of just do it with whoever dudes they have. And like so Manaya and Montas are coming back later in the year. They got this ragtag group of guys that like I said, Griffin Canning, who was like the worst pitcher in baseball last year. Mets pitching lab has turned him into a stud this year. So I'm confident in the way they can figure out the starting pitching. Obviously, Pete Alonso is going nuclear. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, like it almost feels like his last couple years were almost down years for him. You get that
Yeah,
vibe as well. Like he's still hitting homers, but it just like I don't know. It wasn't like didn't feel like he had the same pop as he did like his rookie year, his second year. Just kind of felt like down years. But this year, it's like he's just mashing everything.
it's funny his down year last year was still 34 bombs, but like yeah, like the average wasn't there. Like 240 last year, 217 the year before. This year hitting 343. Like I think I read he completely revamped his swing in the offseason. And do you think also that like the fact that nobody wanted him in the offseason for a long-term deal, do you think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder right now?
Yeah, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and he's just hoping like if he could be more like Aaron Judge, maybe Juan Soto would start hitting the baseball. That's what's
What was
going through
that
his mind.
quote? That was a that. Can you explain that to me? I might have missed this in the world.
Well, I mean, the gist of it was Soto made the quote essentially, I went from playing behind the or hitting in front of the best hitter in baseball to, I mean, he didn't really comment on Alonso. He's just like, yeah, I'm getting pitched differently, no longer hitting in front of the best hitter in baseball.
That's a shot. That's a shot at Pete.
I mean, yeah, Judge is having the best season so far, but you can argue that Alonso is probably the second best hitter in baseball right now.
Oh yeah, like the way that like Pete Alonso is playing, like a high average, 1100 OPS, the power, like he's the total package right now. Um, that's awesome. But the other thing with Pete is he's 30 years old right now. He has the ability to opt out this winter. I think next year's contract. What did I say it was? It was like 20 million or something. It was something comic.
20
He
or
has the so
25.
24 is what he would make next year if he opted in, which he's not going to take that. Like he's having one of the best seasons. He's having the best season of his career right now. So it's like he's going to be a free agent. We just saw Vladdy Jr. get 14 for 500. That's 35 per. Pete has come out and said he wants 35 per. What do you think that's going to look like? Should the Mets just like fork over the money, make him a Met for life?
Yeah, I mean, we were also talking about this before we went on, but it's weird the way the game, like when we were younger, third base and first base were your power positions, but now, like in terms of home run, your power numbers, your extra base hits, home runs, RBIs, slug, OPS, all that stuff. First base is one of your bottom positions as far as that. So to have a first baseman who can get you 40 bombs, drive in 120, like just to have a solid hitter there, like I would pay the money for it. But I really think this comes down to Alonso and what does he want? If he just wants the money, yeah, go somewhere else. But if he wants to legitimately contend for the World Series every year, he should stay for the Mets. Because I mean, the Mets, I mean, they're the only organization out there, one of the few, other than like your Dodgers, your Padres, who have shown like, yeah, we will go out and spend a shit ton of money to win. Their ownership wants to win. Like, so if he just wants to win, I think New York's the best place to stay.
Yeah, I also think there's something too, like the Mets drafted him. He's been there his entire career. There's got to be a part of him that wouldn't mind, being a New York Met for the rest of his career. Like I think, Aaron Nola's a one-team guy, Kershaw's a one-team guy. You don't see that many guys go through 10, 15, 20 years one team the entire time. And I think Pete, I think he's climbing up the Mets leaderboard in terms of home runs. He stays there forever. He's just like he's going to hold all the records. I think that's important to him, or I hope it would be important to him. So I hope Steve Cohen would make the contract agreeable for both sides, because how cool would that be to see the polar bear? And look, we've seen this in Baltimore where you give a 30-plus-year-old first baseman a long-term deal. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I don't know. This might be the time where it does.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to reward him.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do from the organization, unless they just completely expended all of their money paying Soto.
They're like, we're tapped out. Sorry.
Sorry, maybe we can ask Soto for $200 million back because he can't play defense and is hitting 245.
That honestly, that might be part of it where Soto's going to be the DH here soon. Um, and you might be like, well, if we sign Pete to a 6-year deal, back half of that he's probably going to DH. So it's going to be like a steel cage match to figure out which of those two old veteran sluggers are going to be able to. Well, Soto's not, but you know what I mean. Like sluggers is going to be the DH.
Just platoon him. Soto's a
Platoon.
platoon guy. He's a platoon guy. $800 million platoon guy.
That's a good point. Let's talk about another team that is, not afraid to throw around some casserole. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're going through it right now with the pitching injury side. I think right now they have 10 pitchers on the injured list. So the two recent ones, the two big ones, are Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell, both with shoulder inflammation. So I don't know if that was like a bug you can catch. Is it in the water? It's like something you can drink that'll like make your shoulder blow up. Glasnow doesn't have a return date. Snell's supposed to be back this month. But do you remember this offseason? We might have talked about this, where like they went out and they felt like they grabbed every pitcher ever and were like, this isn't fair. Turns out they might have needed all of them.
Do you want to know what I think about the Dodgers pitching injuries? Shocker. It's the same shit with them every year. You like, yeah, they got all these guys, but it's like, Snell always gets hurt. Glasnow. You can't spell Glasnow without glass. Dude's feeble. He needs to drink more milk.
He's a thin boy.
Yeah. Built like Killian Murphy, dude. Looks just like him. But yeah, it's the same stuff with the Dodgers every year. They have a crap ton of injuries every year. So yeah, like it's like they got all these pitchers, but now you see the injury bugs hitting them just like any other team, and they're being affected by it, but somehow still winning.
Yeah. It sucks because like they have some really, really good young pitchers that are also on the injured list. And it's like, uh, who's here, like Emmett Sheehan. I thought he was good when he first came up. He's got Tommy John. Michael Grove, I thought was really good. He has right shoulder labrum surgery. River Ryan, I remember when he came up, I was like, that's a dumb name. Tommy John, Gavin Stone, right shoulder surgery. They just are collecting guys. I don't know if it's just like an organizational thing, but it doesn't feel like a coincidence that many Dodgers pitchers have all similar-ish injuries.
They're probably trying to get too much spin rate on their sliders and curveballs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so like the other thing with the Dodgers that I've learned is like they don't want to acquire pitchers at the trade deadline or players in general at the trade deadline. They feel like you overpay for them, you give up too many prospects, you can get a better deal in the winter trading for guys, or you can just spend the money, which they obviously have an infinite amount of. Do you think this is the winter that or the spring that it's going to lead into the summer trade deadline where they're actually go out and acquire arms? Like, is Kevin Gausman going to be a Dodger? Is Sandy Alcantara going to be a Dodger?
I don't think necessarily. I mean, Glasnow and Snow could both be back. I mean, you got some other guy. I think Gonsolin just made his first start. So you got some other dudes who are getting healthy too. I mean, they already have an overabundance. If some of those dudes can get healthy, there might not be a need to trade for someone. But if they do trade for somebody, I don't see it being like a huge move like that. Because again, like you're going to overpay for them. And with the way the Dodgers offense is built, do you really need to overpay for like a top of the end guy when you could probably go out and get like a number like 4 or 5 starter who's on the last year of their deal, get them for super cheap, and just even if they have like a 4.5, 5 ERA, like the Dodgers can match that. They can give that guy some wins.
Bring Andrew Heaney back.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like a dude like that.
That's a great point.
That's what I could see.
We've talked about this last summer, but like, isn't it crazy that like every summer they're counting on Clayton Kershaw to come in mid-season and be their savior?
Yeah, that dude. I feel bad for him.
Is he just going to be perpetually a 1-year deal guy, and then he's going to have some sort of like weird surgery that hinders him for the first 3 months, and then he'll come back the second half? Like last
And
year,
then
he
when he
made
comes
7 starts.
7 starts and they were using him out of the pen, like yeah, yeah. He got it. He got another ring.
Yeah,
Should
that's
have just
true.
he should have just like once you got that, it's like what are we still doing? You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. Probably like him and Verlander, best 2 pitchers of our generation. So it's like, dude has nothing more to prove.
He's just
Not,
collecting his he's a
yeah,
1 year, 7.5 mil this year, and he had
it's
toe. What is it? Toe and knee surgery.
it's not like him continuing the pitching, like continuing to pitch is going to like ruin his legacy or anything. Like his legacy is solidified. He could go out and have like a 15 ERA and just like retire after like before they made the playoffs, and it won't affect his legacy. But it's like, come on,
Come on, Clayton.
either get healthy or get off the goddamn team.
Let's shift gears. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates because there's a prospect coming up through their system that I like the Pirates and the way they develop pitching. Say what you want about the Pirates and the way they handle themselves as an organization, but they have figured out the hard part of baseball, and that is developing good frontline starting pitching. Jared Jones, Paul Skeens. They got the next one though, Bubba Chandler, number 14 prospect in baseball. He's coming soon. He leads AAA with a 106 average against. He has a 1.3 ERA and 4 starts. Is he just going to be the next great Pirates starting pitcher?
I mean, as Charles Barkley would say, them young boys coming. Them young boys coming, Justin. Yeah, Chandler's going to be really good. He throws hard. He throws accurate. Good secondary pitches. Do I know? Is he going to be a Paul Skeens level guy? I don't know. Maybe, but it's crazy that their rotation, if everybody was still healthy, could literally be Skeens, Jones, Keller, and then Chandler. Like that's disgusting. The Pirates are like the opposite of the Orioles. The Orioles can only develop hitters and no pitching, whereas all the Pirates can seem to do is just generate pitchers with zero offense. If they could just get together and have like a baby on how to develop prospects, it would be the greatest farm system and developmental team in the MLB.
It's crazy because like every team would love to have this problem. Like, God, we just have so much good, young, controllable starting pitching. And it's usually like, yeah, like the old saying was you grow the arms and you buy the bats. But the problem with the Pirates is they have no money to buy the bats. So this year and last year, they've had the fourth worst team OPS. Like they can't hit. They're counting on Jack Sawinski. I'm going to be 50 years old, and they're still going to be like, this could be the year where Jack Sawinski could put it all together, be a complete player. So it's not great. And like they spent like $6 in free agency, and they got Tommy Pham who's jerking it in front of the fans now. So it's like it's not. They're just in a bad. If they had league average offense, they would have multiple World Series titles at this point.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you got to think all the pitching they've traded away.
Oh,
Like, like their pitching isn't just good now; it's been good.
yes.
Trading Cole, Glasnow,
Boz. Wasn't Boz a
wasn't
Pirate?
I
Yeah.
can't remember. Back in the day, wasn't Archer there for a bit? The dude from the Rays. I can't remember his
Yep.
name. Yeah,
Yeah, Chris Archer, and then Boz
yeah,
was a first round pick by the Pirates, who was also in that trade for some reason.
yeah. It's insane.
This is 2018. The Pirates sent Shane Boz to the Rays with Glasnow and Austin Meadows for Chris Archer.
Oh yeah, Archer didn't start there. Boz was in the trade for him. That makes sense.
God, well, I mean, Boz got lit up the other day, but
The Rays always fleece everybody in trades, though. I don't know how they do it. I'm just happy they're not relevant this year. I can't stand them. Most boring baseball team to watch in the MLB.
no, that's Cleveland.
I would watch the Rockies over Tampa Bay.
Like the Cleveland Guardians have consistently been the most boring to watch franchise in baseball.
At least they have superstars. Like they have J Ram. They had Lindor. The Rays never have superstars. It's no one
They don't
exciting to
need
watch.
superstars because they play Moneyball.
Moneyball's never won a World Series.
Could. Um, let's stick with the pitching. Let's talk about Lance McCullers Jr. He is making his 2025 debut this weekend. It's the first time he's pitched on an MLB mound since the 2022 postseason. He had flexor tendon surgery in 23, and he's been out with complications since then. He's only 31 years old, former first round pick, all star. Um, First of all, I told you this, and you're like, I didn't even remember Lance McCullers was around.
Yeah, I thought he was just kind of done. I thought injuries like force retired him.
Yeah, 31 is not that old as somebody who's turning 30 next year. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. He had such high hopes, first round pick. He was a Cy Young Award vote getter a couple years ago. My question to you is though, is that if you wanted to have a pitcher make a comeback either from injuries or from old age / retirement, like who would you want to bring back?
This is an easy answer for me. I would 100% go Noah Syndergaard, who I really don't think he's that old himself. Like he could make a return. Late 30s, maybe 36,
Uh,
37.
32.
Oh my God. That's what I'm saying. The dude was pitching lights out ball in the World Series for the Mets back in the day, back in their NLCS on their World Series run. Dude came
Yeah,
up
but
with the long hair, throwing 100. It was him and DeGrom just like piping the other team. Like they get on the mound, they just drop it right in the other team's face.
the Dark
And
Knight
then
too.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I can throw like 92 miles per hour now and not throw strikes. Let me go pitch for the Angels. Oh, that's not going to work out. Just the drop off, man. It's so sad to watch.
Do you think if you put him on like the Rays or the Mets or like some of these teams now that are just like the Pirates, I don't know, because they turned Andrew Heaney into a top of the rotation guy. Like he just needs to go to a place now that like does pitching well, not Cleveland. Or I guess Cleveland does pitching well, but like I don't know. Cleveland and LA were his last two teams, and those didn't work out for him.
Yeah, like get him down there in Texas or the Mets. Like go back to the Mets.
Mm,
They're doing some. I do have an honorable mention for this. So
who?
this guy's only like 25 or 26 years old. But can Alek Manoah please become a good pitcher again?
That's a good one. Is he still in the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I think he's either hurt or I know he's not on the big league team.
60-day IL.
He's either hurt. Yep.
That's a
That
good
dude
one.
was like that dude was a top five Cy Young guy at one point.
Yeah,
And
third in
then
2022.
and then he just completely forgot how to pitch. They sent him to the complex league, Justin. How do you get demoted all the way down to the complex league, bro?
That I remember that. That was such a funny. Yeah, you went from an all-star to like pitching against like 18-year-olds with like bad
Yeah,
face acne.
he's like pitching against the 18-year-old scout team from the Dominican Republic. Like, what is he doing, dude?
That's rock bottom. My guy, and I've been on the record, made several videos about this, but Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke is not formally retired. I want that out on the record. He's only 41 years old. I say only because Rich Hill is 45, and Rich Hill had to turn teams away last year. And I also just read a thing before this where it's like he's considering pitching again this year. So if Rich Hill, who throws like a max 85, like if he could get that many offers and interest, like why hasn't Zach Greinke been scooped up by somebody? Like last year, it was hilarious. The Diamondbacks were like, I guess, yeah, you can just kind of work out here. He didn't know if he wanted to retire. He was trying to figure his life out, but bring Zach Greinke back. We need this character back in the game of baseball.
A fun discussion is Greinke a Hall of Famer?
I mean, the threshold for Hall of Famer has been significantly changed over the years. 225 wins, 3.49 ERA. That last year in Kansas City made that go up a little bit. Yeah, Cy Young, sure.
World Series
Has he won a World Series?
with the Astros, didn't he?
Well, no, he was there in nine. Oh, well, yeah, in 21. That was the Braves.
Yeah. Huh.
No, he doesn't have a
I
World
could have
Series.
sworn he does not have a ring.
No, he was on the Dodgers,
Damn.
but that was before they won.
His peak was incredible though.
Oh yeah, 1 year, 2009, when he won the Cy Young, he had 10.4 WAR
As a pitcher, that is
as a
insane.
pitcher. Put Zach Greinke in the Hall of Fame. He's also in a Hall of Fame just like person, just because of how quirky and weird he is. So,
I do remember though, your listeners get mad when we talk about stats like wins and strikeouts. So we really need to hone in on what was Granke's BABIP for his career. That's what we should really be focusing on. What was his
yeah,
fielder independent pitching? What was that?
well, I wanted it on the record that you all like I don't get roasted in the comments for that, but like you'll use like Colin Ray who had like 12 wins or something. And they're like, what? This guy doesn't know ball.
Wins matter.
Batting average matters.
Yeah, you can say what you want. I don't care if a guy bats 200. He sucks.
Pitcher wins, I'm not as high on, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
understand how batting average has just like all of a sudden, like if you say like, oh, this guy's a good hitter, he's batting 300. Everybody's like, what? You still use batting average, bro? Like learn ball.
Well, if you hit into an out, it's an out. And your batting average reflects.
Sorry, we don't all use BABIP or X WOBA or
I'm
WOBA.
like I'm like Jim Leland. I just watch baseball and just rip darts on my couch.
When I'm smoking cigs inside and watching baseball, I can figure out with the old eyeball test who's a good hitter and who's not. I don't need
I
numbers.
don't even need to watch. I just listen to the radio broadcast and I
The sound of
listen
the
for the
bat.
crack of the bat. That's how you can really tell. Yeah, that index velo of 115.2. I could hear it.
What's that? Oh, that was weak contact. Yeah, that was probably like 90 off the bat. Didn't get it. Um,
Exactly.
all right, let's talk closers because I think MLB has a closer problem right now. So I read a great article on Bleacher Report about this. It's just basically talking about how like the typical shutdown guys are like floundering, they're all being moved out or even just sent down, which is embarrassing. Um, and just like talking about like the state of like the closer position in baseball right now and how it's kind of up in the air. So like they mentioned three guys. It was Devin Williams in New York, who's not a closer anymore. Clase in Cleveland is out of the role. He has a 7 ERA. Bednar in Pittsburgh, he was sent down to AAA. He came back. He's been better, but just like guys who like normally you could pencil in as being like 30 plus saves, good ERA. You don't see that many of them anymore. And even like Edwin Diaz in New York has a 4.5. So like, why do you think it is that they're all imploding at the same time? And like, what do you think about the state of the position as a whole?
Yeah, it's really weird. Like especially like your bigger name closers, how they're all kind of starting the year. I mean, I can't really put my finger on it. It's just I also do think that maybe previously, if closers were struggling, teams would opt to stick with them in the role a little longer, just because typically your closers were so much better than your setup guy or your sixth, seventh inning guys. But now it's like on most teams, your seventh, eighth, sixth inning guys are throwing 100 plus with disgusting sinkers or cutters or whatever. So it's like if you have that good of stuff, why not just throw them in the role and see what can happen?
I completely agree. Yeah, you're right. It used to be like Craig Kimbrell or Mariano or like, these guys who are like, if they go through a rough patch, a rough like 3 or 4 outings in a row, it's like, oh, well, he's got the track record. He's our guy, but he's our closer, but he's the only one that has the stuff plus that we won and he throws 100. But now you're right. Everybody throws 100. And you see a lot of teams that like they are more inclined to move off of a closer quickly because like you said, the guy behind him, you'd even do a closer by committee. And also like I went back and I looked at like, do you remember when the Mariners traded Paul Sewald? They were like, how can you get rid of an established closer, an older guy like Paul Sewald? When they turned to Andres Munoz, who has now just become the best closer in baseball. He was just like a regular middle reliever before that. Or like when the Padres let Hader walk in free agency, they're like, how could you? He's the best closer, blah, blah, blah. Well, they had Robert Suarez, who throws 100 and just throwing bullets. So he was just like a regular guy sitting down the bench next to him. So there's not that big of a drop off if you decide to not let your not play your closer, send him down, trade him, whatever. So it's weird, man. There's not that many guys. There's not that many Craig Kimbrells floating around anymore.
No, I definitely do not think it is the era of the closer right now. It's like you said, a lot more teams, even your bigger name teams like the Dodgers are a lot. They do a lot of like closer by committee type stuff. More, I guess that goes more into your analysis department and what's the best matchups, who's got the best stuff for the matchups. So I think that's just going to become a lot more common, especially as the game's getting more analytical. Also,
Like here are the top 5 closers according to that article right now is Miller and I almost said Oakland, Miller and the Athletics, Suarez in San Diego, Munoz in Seattle, Hader, and then Tanner Scott. But that's also like the Dodgers are more inclined to also mix and match, play matchup. So it's like those aren't really household names. That's not those aren't like Edwin Diaz isn't there, Bednar's not there. It's like it's a whole different crew now.
yeah, you got dudes like Emilio Pagan out in Cincy with like 8 saves.
I really wanted so like the Rangers use Luke Jackson, who was really good for the Braves like I don't know 7 years ago. I really wanted him to work out because he legit was like they let Kirby Yates walk in free agency. Who's going to be the closer? He's just to me he was I didn't know a ton about him. Just seemed kind of like an out of left field choice, and I wanted him to work so they'd be like, see, look, you could put anybody out there, but he's blown a bunch of saves recently, so it's a little shaky on that take. So probably put that one back in the holster. Um, but
There are some guys mentally that appear to just not be like suited for the role. Like they get out there in the ninth inning and you can just see the crab stain just rolling down their leg. You can feel the
yeah,
blown save coming.
that's
But
a
if
good
you take
point.
them, but if you take them out of the ninth inning, they look great. Is like seventh or eighth inning guys. So
Yanier Cano.
you got to find the dude who's just got the balls for it, the
Yeah.
gumption.
I do believe there is something to that. Like mentally, it's a whole different. Like those are the 3 most important outs in the game. Like the 3 outs in the ninth are different than the 3 outs in the sixth. So the whole like the opposing team is throwing the whole book at you. The whole kitchen sink is coming. It's like they're pinch hitting. They're playing matchups. These 3 outs are all the pressure's on you. Some guys can't handle that.
No, you got to really like the cut of a dude's jib to put him out
Yeah,
there in that.
we should do a jib rating. Just like I think I wanted to do that as a segment a while ago. Just like just guys just talking jib.
Yeah, exactly.
Some guys have it. All right, couple last things. So Pete Crow Armstrong in Chicago has been so much fun to watch this year. One of the most electric, fun guys to watch night in, night out. He's dropping bunts down. He's stealing bags. The problem with Pete Crow Armstrong for me right now is that we're seeing him hitting the seventh hole every single night. It's such a random spot in the order. Like you don't think of any of the all-time greats. Like your favorite player growing up was not a 7-hole hitter. And I know that's probably because last year PCA wasn't swinging the bat so well. But when you look at his numbers, he's like top 5 fastest guys in baseball. He has 12 steals already. This is a leadoff hitter if I've ever seen one, but Craig Counsell elects to drop him down to the random 7th spot. Um, how pissed off does it make you watching the Cubs games? Because they are fun to watch now with Kyle Tucker. They should be batting PCA leadoff, right? I'm not crazy here.
Well, only half of your take is inaccurate, and that was irrelevant players in the 7 hole. I do want to remind you there were several years where Robinson Cano was batting 7th for the Yankees. One of the sweetest swings in baseball history. So it's not disrespect the 7 hole. But as far as PCA batting there currently, I completely agree. The dude's a leadoff hitter. He's finally showing like he can handle the big league pitching. My only counter to that would be the Cubs offense is rolling right now. Why mess up what they're doing?
That's a good point.
PCA is raking. The leadoff hitter is a lot like the closer. It takes a certain mentality to go up there in the first inning, try to draw out on that bat, see some pitches, work the pitch count. Maybe it could be a similar situation for that where they just don't. The offense is rolling. Let's not mess up his psyche. He's hitting fine where he's at. Let's not mess it up.
Council's a big Ian Happ. Like, let Ian Happ cook in the leadoff spot, switch hitter, creates good matchups. Ian Happ is great. He's a great baseball player, but like, he's not flashy. He's gonna bat you 270 with 20 homers, which is, like I said, we're not downplaying that. That is fantastic for a switch hitter. But like, Pete Crow Armstrong is doing stuff like the bunt is a weapon. The speed when he's on base is a weapon. The pitcher's thinking about only PCA when he's out there on the bump. He's like, oh, fuck, I don't want to mess this up because Pete's going to take second. If I, wild pitch, he's third and, singles home. That's a run. So but yeah, I guess you're right. Don't mess up a good thing. Pete has got to get on base more. Pete's got like a 300 on base, but Happ has got like 70 points more in the on base category. So, okay, fine, whatever.
It's just exciting to think because, I mean, they bat Tucker in a 2 hole a lot.
Yeah.
It's just exciting to think like what could be with PCA hitting in front of him. PCA right now is on pace for 60 steals on the season. You got to figure you move him up to the 1 hole, more at bats. I mean, that could get him up into like the 70 plus steal range there. I mean, with his speed, he could pretty much, even if he singles, he could pretty much get into scoring position for Kyle Tucker anytime he's on. So it's just like the thought of what could be is really enticing.
It's an auto double. Any single is an auto double when you're as fast as Pete Crow Armstrong. Like, it's last year, the defense carried him. He was like a 2-war guy, and that was great. And he's like, okay, cool. The bat's not quite there yet. But the bat's here. The bat's here, and it's only going to get better. He's a young guy. He's only 23.
And he's always raked against minor league pitching. I think just as with anybody else, just some time to adjust to the big league pitching. But I think he's getting there. His at bats, I've seen some Cubs games. His at bats look really good for the most part.
It's just, yeah, if nothing else, get him more times through the order. Like 7, like what the percentage of like at bats you lose throughout the course of a 162 in the 7 hole it's crazy. You need to be as high in the order as possible. I don't know why. Whatever. Maybe if he's a switch hitter, it wouldn't be a problem. But all right, last thing. Former Cub, Javy Baez. Last year, he had a 46 OPS plus. He was unplayable. He was unwatchable. It was disgusting baseball. This year, he's batting close to 300. He's got his swagger back. He's played 11 games in center field this far. He's grading out pretty good in terms of like defensive runs saved, outs above average. The defensive metrics are loving Javy in the outfield. Do you think that these are correlated? Do you think this is him getting his swagger back? Like, you know what? I don't suck ass.
I think it could be one of two things. It could be, like you said, maybe change position, a little more relaxed, hitting better. Or maybe when he was like learning how to play outfield, he was doing some off-season drills with like Jerks and Profar or something.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying. Are we not all thinking that here? I mean, come on. We're all men here. We're all boys just hanging around.
Yeah, we're man enough to talk about it. Some tough subjects. I mean, they got him in the 9 hole, second leadoff hitter. So that's another. People aren't talking about that enough. Maybe they should put PCA. If you're gonna put PCA 7th, put him 9th because that If he's already going to be losing at bats, put him in the 9 spot. Might as well be the second leadoff guy. Whatever. Get him on
I
base for the one. Yeah.
it is only a month, but the Tigers in general, they're rolling right now. Gleyber Torres has looked really good. Random dudes like McKinstry have looked good. Green's back. Torkelson's figured it out in AAA. But with Javi, it's only a month. We can't get too excited yet.
I
We've
want
seen
him to be
like
back though.
we've just seen like 3 years of just what 46 OPS.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, so let's give it a little more time. And while we're at it, we can test his testosterone levels. They might be elevated above the normal amount.
It's cold in Detroit though. The ball's not flying, so like, that had something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, he was negative WAR last year. He batted 180. Um, I'm rooting for Javi. I want him to be good so bad because for one thing, he's still got like 2 more years left on that giant contract he signed. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with him because they can't eat 20 plus mil. Um, and
Yeah,
baseball's
the
more fun when
Tigers,
Javi's back.
they're an exciting team right now, and if Javi can keep this up, like it's makes them even better.
100%. Okay, well, I think we did a pretty good job, and look, we didn't even have to, shit talk the Orioles that much. So I think we did a pretty fair, fair and unbiased assessment.
They had a night off tonight, so I didn't have to stress. I could relax, not want to kill Charlie Morton and wish bad things upon him. So it's awesome.
So hey, that's a long season, man. It's 162. It's a grind. So, 1/5 of the way through there so far, and hopefully we'll keep this up. Do this like a monthly tradition. Check back in. Maybe Curtis Mead will learn how to hit next month. So we always have that.
Yeah, he could go for like 15 singles next month.
Yeah, no extra base hits, all singles.
Yeah, he won't do that.
Cash bar, singles only. All right. Well, great to catch up with you, man. This has been a lot of fun.